Happy Saturday, everyone. My name is John Crump. I am the Virginia Director for Gun Owners of America, and I'm also an investigative journalist. And tonight we have the first and one of many interviews that we have coming up. But before we get into that, I want to bring in my esteemed co host. He is the guy that joins me every weekend that I make give up his Saturday night to do this show. And if you don't know what this show is about, this show is Virginia Reloaded by Gun Owners of America, where we talk about stuff facing the Commonwealth and beyond. And my co host, he is a beautiful human being. He is a YouTuber from the Gorillas and Guns YouTube channel, Silverback Banana, also known as Scott Ayers. What is up, Silverback? How are you?
I'm doing good, John. I don't mind giving up my Saturday nights for this. I tell you, it's been good so far. It's been very interesting, and I'm looking forward to lots more of these.
Yeah, we can get into a little bit of rights here and also let everyone know what's going on in the Commonwealth. And if you are joining us on Facebook, we're not going to be able to see who you are unless you click a little button that authorizes StreamYard to display your name. So, unfortunate, but that's the way it is. Well, all right. We all know that there is a bunch of stuff going on with Second Amendment sanctuary cities.
hmm
And we also all know that there's stuff going on with certain localities trying to crack down on gun rights and setting up gun-free zones or gun ban zones, as I like to call them,
Yep.
because they ban guns, but they're not actually free of guns. So, Roanoke City is one of these cities that is dealing with that. There is a couple gun rights advocates. One is a GOA volunteer named Matt DasCowboy, Matt Ballard. He goes by Cowboy. He helps out a lot at GOA events. He is not on quite yet, but there is another gun rights advocate that gave a impassioned speech a long time ago in front of the Roanoke City Council, and I had him on my other podcast because I was just touched and moved by this speech so much, and it was just like amazing speech. He also ran for Roanoke City Council, which uh, I really wish he would have ran or won because maybe he could have stopped some of this stuff. So,
hmm
without further ado, I want to bring him on so we can dig into what exactly these gun bans are because we've seen them in Loudoun County, we have seen them in Fairfax, we've seen them in Alexandria, and we've seen them in or Arlington, not Alexandria, but Arlington. And I want to get into what these gun bans are, just so we know what's going on. And it's a real shame that we killed preemption in the state, but we'll get into all that in a second. I just want to introduce him before I get off on another tangent. His name is Maynard Keller. How are you doing, Maynard?
Doing well, John. Thank you very much. Good to be here.
Yeah. So tell us what is going on in Roanoke City.
Yeah, the timing of this proposed gun ordinance is actually very interesting. Uh, the localities were able to enact local gun control effective last July. However, very few actually took that opportunity to do anything about it for one reason. It's called the election. And so many city councils and not many, certain city councils or board supervisors or towns waited until after the election before they actually did anything as far as gun control. And what we saw is back in January, at the very first new city council meeting with the new members on board, is one of their proposals was local gun control. And then they punted that from January until now. But the timing is very, very suspect here. I think if things had turned out differently, that this would not even be an issue today. But we see that this is on their agenda, and we're trying to address these issues.
Yeah. So it's going to be voted on soon. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes. What's interesting is the agenda or the full packet for this Monday night is over 400 pages. I've never seen one that long before. And all the time I've been tracking city council agendas and information.
Why do you think it's that long?
Well, they're trying to, what they often do on these public hearings, they address all these other issues before they get to the main issue, which is gun control. So you got to deal with all these minor things and the planning commissions and all this stuff. And then you finally get to the meat of the crux of the issue here.
Yeah, it's very interesting that you say that, because we see this technique being used all around the place. Because usually when this happens, there is more pro-gun people than anti-gun people that show up. So do you think that they're using this as a strategy to try to silence the pro-gun people?
Oh, yeah. In fact, I had requested a copy of the proposed ordinance back in February, but they said we can't release that until council meets on March 1st. And so they know exactly what they're doing. And it's basically to try to delay things so we can't plan to a response to them. And so it's delay, it's stall, don't get the information until it's too late. And you have to sign up by noon on Monday to be able to speak. It's actually, you actually call in. It's not a meeting where they're real people. It's a Zoom phone call where you have to call in to voice your concerns.
Yeah, I have the notice of a public hearing up on the screen right now.
Yes.
That was from the mayor. Matt DasCowboy, who is also joining us here, is the guy that sent me this. When I heard about this, it just blew my mind that in Roanoke City that they're trying this again. Although I kind of knew it was going to happen in Roanoke City, it was one of the places um, where I expected it to happen. I'm actually surprised it's taken that long for the city council in Roanoke to actually get there. But what do you think the chances of it passing are?
As far as it passing, there will be a lot of people opposing this. I know that for a fact. How many? That's we'll wait to they'll be seen on Monday night. But there will be a lot of people phoning in, expressing opposition. Of course, we did this back in December of 2019 when we wanted to have a Second Amendment sanctuary. We packed the room with about 100 people, and then they wouldn't even take a vote on it. They just dismissed it.
Yeah,
And so once this is proposed, hopefully they will amend this. Hopefully there'll be someone on city council or maybe a few people that we can depend on that will ask questions that will see through this and will stand up for the rights of citizens.
Yeah, I mean, we can hope. We can really hope that happens. I've been on a lot of Zoom calls around the Commonwealth for this same exact issue, or speaking on other gun rights issues. And the thing with the Zoom calls is, like in Loudoun County, they make you get on like a couple hours before the meeting even takes place. And I think that's to discourage people from actually being on these calls.
Mhm. Yeah, I think being there in person, in front of city council, with a bunch of supporters behind you who have your back, has a lot more power when you can look the city council members in the eyes, when you have people around you who are supporting you. It's much more powerful than a phone call.
Yeah.
And they know that.
So, Matt, what do you think about this new city council resolution, ordinance, whatever you want to call it?
Well, just like Mr. Keller, I've been trying to get my hands on it for some time as well. And I thought they were supposed to release it beforehand, at least 24 hours beforehand. So it's not surprising whatsoever, because we've known it's going to come. Sherman Lee, he's a coward. What he does is, hey, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. About a month ago, it came out, hey, they're going to introduce this on the city council meeting. And then all of a sudden it was taken off the list, because he saw the reaction of the pro-gun community getting together, getting ready to a rally and say, no, we don't want this. Now, all of a sudden, I found out on a Saturday, 2 days before, on a Monday, that they're going to do it again. I mean, last time there was at least a week ahead. It seems like the city council is doing absolutely everything they can to avoid the traditional list of hearing, or of saying this is what the agenda is, this is what we're talking about, this is how we proceed. Underneath Sherman Lee, it's just they do whatever they want, however they want. They've extended their own term by 6 months, and they're just pushing whatever agenda they want.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember there was some hubbub about them deciding that that just to extend the terms.
Right. The elections are in Roanoke City had traditionally been in May. And this is December of 2019, before COVID, before it was even a thing. They moved the elections to November. And so it coincided with the presidential election, basically to stack the deck in favor of incumbents, and nothing to do with COVID whatsoever. And so they did that. We kind of saw how they wanted to do this, and they kind of pushed through their agenda. One city council member resigned back in the summer. And instead of having a special election, they decided to fill that vacancy on their own. So yeah, they did that. So they definitely don't have the citizens' best interest at heart. They're pushing through their far left agenda. And we may get to this later as well, but Mayor Lee was interviewed by Channel 7 WDBJ, and what was interesting is that he said that when the incident occurred in Virginia Beach, that was May 31st of 2019, the shooting where 12 people died. He said, I promised the citizens we'd do all we could to eliminate firearms being brought into City Hall. What he failed to notice there is that the Virginia Beach City Municipal Building was a gun-free zone to start with. And the fact that the employees and the citizens couldn't defend themselves actually caused that massacre. So I think he has his facts wrong. I think the logic is flawed here. But gun control in a municipal building makes nobody safer.
Yeah, it really doesn't, and I think that is a fact that a lot of people don't get. That it's not going to make anyone safer, because if your intention is to go shoot up a building, you're not going to say, oh, I can't go shoot at the building because of a law against me bringing the gun in there.
Right, here's a sign. I can't do this.
You're already determined to break the law.
Yeah, I mean, and if they want it to be a gun-free zone, then they need to supply metal detectors at every entrance, along with security guards at every entrance, to check everybody as they're coming through the door. And there's no way they're going to do that.
Yeah, and the problem
you do that to our own schools.
Yeah, I mean, they can't guarantee it, and that's the whole point. By them trying to guarantee that it's going to be a gun-free zone, like I said, they would have to overstaff the place in order to try to make sure it would be.
Yeah, and the problem too is it's not just when they first were talking about this back in January, they were talking about the municipal building in particular. But this ordinance or this modification goes way beyond that. It goes into the anything the city owns, municipal buildings. It could be parking garages. It can be parks. It can be the greenway. It could be whatever they want that the city owns. They can ban guns and ammunition and carrying those things. So it's not just a secure building like a CIA building or FBI building that's very sensitive. How are you going to protect people in a park? A mother is pushing a stroller with their 2-year-old or a baby. They become easy targets now because they cannot legally defend themselves with a firearm.
Well, when Loudoun County had their vote on their kind of the same thing that what you guys are voting on,
Mhm.
their gun-free zones, one of the board members stated, well, if you feel unsafe about going to a park, then maybe you should hire security. And what was her name? Julie Briskman. And she said it not in a joking manner. She said it like this is what she actually believes, or this was actually her idea.
Wow.
Is she going to pay for me to have armed security?
I don't know. I don't know. Let's dig a little bit. Let's dig a little bit into this resolution. Is there any type of exemption for concealed carry permit holders?
No.
Okay, because that doesn't make any sense to me. If it's all about preventing crime, concealed carry holders, they go through background checks, right? So they're law-abiding citizens. They actually can prove that they're law-abiding citizens by saying, "Hey, I've been through background checks. I've had a criminal background check.
Mm-hmm.
My background is clean." And so I just don't get their reasoning.
Right. And the problem, there's never been a problem with any type of shooting in our municipal building. There's never been a problem in parks or any city-owned property. It's kind of a solution looking for a problem. And I don't see how disarming innocent people makes them any safer. In fact, they're really creating it's their own problem now. And
Chris Shoemake wants to know if government officials are exempt or not.
It does not say that. I have it right in front of me here. The only thing it does give an exemption for gun shows at the Berglund Center. It talks about that. But it's otherwise it's pretty much now the other main issue here, I think, is that Roanoke County and the city of Salem do not have this. And let's say you're on a greenway or on a park or something, all of a sudden you're going from Salem to Roanoke. All of a sudden, you are now a criminal and can be arrested and put in jail for 12 months and or fined $2,500 by crossing over one locality to another. That's a problem.
Yeah, don't they talk about how borders are just imaginary lines?
Yeah, something like that. Well, it also comes down to someone mentioned having private security and all these things. Right now, I asked this question on Friday to I've been an active participant in the task force to reduce gun violence. The task force was downgraded to a study committee, and I asked this question to them. I said, how many police officers are we short as far as staffing that we're supposed to have, that we have funding for? And right now, there are actually 60 police officers short, and they'll have 10 graduating from the police academy, making it a net of 50 police officers short. And so how are they going to be, typically the police are the ones who enforce the municipal building or other places. How are they going to do this? Who's going to pay for security, metal detectors? Who's going to be policing the parks? Are we going to be having a stop and frisk kind of thing? I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, don't they want to defund the police too?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how that works. But it does make an exemption for police and military. I've seen I said one time before that I once saw a movie where only the military and the police had guns, and it's called Schindler's List. So,
Yeah. Before anyone calls us out for referencing, like Gina Carano owing us for referencing the Holocaust, Maynard Keller is a Jewish gentleman. Because Gina Carano, she compared basically the same, some stuff to the Holocaust and
Mhm.
to not pre-Germany, pre-World War II Germany,
right. Yeah,
and then she got fired for it. But
exactly.
yeah, so Cowboy, what do you have to say?
I actually got a couple of questions for you, John. Hasn't there been a couple of lawsuits in areas or localities where similar ordinances have passed?
There are going to be some lawsuits, and there
I was
are no rulings quite yet on any of those. What happened? Let's get back to why this is all happening now. Not this legislative season, but the legislative season in the year before. The Virginia delegates, and the House of Delegates,
Delegates.
and the Senate, the whole legislature voted to get rid of preemption. Preemption basically means that local law cannot override state law. So they got rid of that. But here's the caveat. They got rid of that only if you wanted to have a stronger gun law or make a gun-free zone. They didn't get rid of it if you wanted to, overrule state gun laws.
Mhm.
So it wasn't a two-way street.
Yeah, it's sort. Or I was sort of surprised to actually see that pass because it was it was all focused on just the localities can do whatever they want, only gun law wise though. So I'm like, so I really didn't think it was going to pass because it was so fine.
Yeah, preemption is something that we need to get back.
Mhm.
Now, I'm going to ask Scott, because Scott really haven't said that much. Do you think we have a chance of getting preemption back?
I mean, I would sure hope so, but it's going to take a whole makeover of our government here in Virginia in order to get that preemption back.
All right, how about you, Maynard? What do you think?
Great question. We have to have conservatives in the House of Delegates, in the Senate, and in the governor's mansion. We have to do that. In fact, we have an election coming up in November, and I'm actively helping a candidate, Charlie Nave, here in the House District 11, which encompasses Roanoke City. We need to retake the House, at least get a majority in the House and Senate, and have a conservative attorney general, lieutenant governor, and governor. And that goes a long way. We've seen the abuse of power by our governor over the past 12 months, almost exactly. We've seen that abuse of power in so many ways.
We've seen abuse of power at all levels of government in the past 12 months.
Well, it also shows you the importance of local and state government. If we have good leaders who honor the Constitution, then we're good. But what we see is that these people who take the oath of office, and this is I'm going to bring this up on Monday, is that these city council members, many of them swore on a Bible that they would uphold the Constitution of the United States. And to me, that is a sacred oath. I mean, it's a covenant, it's a promise. And many of them are walking back on that. And if they vote for this gun control, they're walking back on that and taking away the right of citizens. And so yeah, we have to take back local and state government in a big way.
Yeah, we definitely have to take back local and state government, because that's where the true 2A fight is. It's at the local and state level. And I've said this a lot. This is Gun Owners of America, Virginia Reloaded, or Virginia Reloaded, a Gun Owners of America podcast. I guess that's the official title. But I am saying your local groups are just as important or
Mhm.
not more important than
Mhm.
national groups. Like the
Mhm.
VCDL does a hell of a lot of work in Virginia. I want to give them all the credit in the world. We work very closely with VCDL because they are a great organization and local groups need your support as well. And I think that a lot of people forget about the local groups. They think that they
Mhm.
paid their $25 to GOA or whatnot and they're done. And that's what they need to do. Even if you pay your money to VCDL and GOA, you're not done. You need to be an advocate. You need
Mhm.
to stand up for your rights because it's just not enough to pay money.
Mhm.
Like GOA, the most important thing you can do for GOA, the money does help. I'm not going to be a lie. That's how we fund our lawsuits. That's how we fund our lobby and everything. But we have a free email list where you can sign up and get alerts. We're not going to spam you. We're not going to send you buy this whatever. We're going to send you information about laws that are going to affect you locally.
Mhm.
Mhm.
We'll send you alerts. VCDL, the same thing. You can get on their mailing list without actually paying a penny. And by calling those numbers, you are doing more to secure your gun rights than by paying any amount of money to any organization. And I'm saying that as a representative of an organization, but I care about my gun rights. Everyone at GOA cares about our gun rights. And I think to a man, to a woman at GOA would tell you the same exact thing I just told you.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you, John. Now you helped. Wasn't this summer you helped Safe Side Tactical of Lynchburg
Yes,
with a
we
lawsuit to
mhm,
make sure that they were an essential business like Walmart was. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah, we
so, so thank you very much for doing
yeah,
that.
no problem. We've opened up gun ranges in multiple states. We have pressured like northern states to open up. We put a lot of pressure on states where like they were so anti-gun and they wanted to shut down the ranges, but they had
Mm,
to go and tell these anti-gun organizations, "Hey, they're gonna sue us and they're gonna win, so we're not gonna waste the money in
right.
fighting something that we're
Mm,
not gonna win."
thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Yep. Chris Ramos says he lives in Hampton and would like to help in any way I can get. Any way you can get rid of tyrants. Go ahead and hit me up, john.crump@gunowners.org, Chris. Or hit me up on Facebook and I will get you hooked up. The best thing you can do is join Facebook/group/GOA-Virginia. And from there, I that's how I keep in touch with everyone. We're gonna be starting to do our monthly Zoom meetings. And people ask me, why are you gonna do a monthly Zoom meeting? Why not meet in person? I'm like, Virginia's a really big place.
Mhm.
Actually, I found this out. Where I'm located at in Ashburn, Virginia, is closer to Canada than I am to Roanoke City.
Wow. Wow.
So
Hey, I've made that trip a few times.
yeah. So that's why we're gonna start using Zoom again to do meetings just so everyone can attend and I can answer anyone's question out there.
Well, the other thing too, John, like you were saying, to participate is, sign up for that free email list, and when the action items come up, don't be afraid to go ahead and follow through with those action items. Sign your name to the list, send those emails out. They supply you with all the information you need, and they even supply you with a pre-written letter if you don't feel like writing one yourself, to be able to, throw your voice out there and put your hat in the ring.
2 to
Exactly.
5 minutes is all that's going to take. Copy
Mm,
paste your legislator, copy paste
Mhm.
email,
It,
write your name at
it's
the bottom, send.
it's gonna take a lot less than time than that.
Yep.
We actually have a program where where when you
mhm.
get the email, you can do a pre-filled letter or pre-fill it out, and you just put in your name, address, and everything, and it will send it right there.
Yeah. Every one I've done, I put in my zip code, and it sends it directly to the representatives
Yeah,
that it needs to send it to.
yeah. Our system
Mhm.
will actually look up who your representatives are
Mhm.
and target those representatives
I've
with
been doing
what
it the hard way.
we call a rotator. So like they're not gonna get the same exact email from every single person. The email that it generates for you will be a little bit different. You don't want the legislators to get the same email from every single person.
Yeah, because they'll think it's like a bot and spam.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I will say this that elected officials really do pay attention to letters and emails and phone calls from their constituents.
Chap Peterson.
They say that the squeaky wheel gets the what? The grease.
Yeah.
and it's absolutely true. I mean, they don't politicians don't like criticism.
Yeah,
They
look at Chap Peterson. Chap Peterson, the reason why he voted against the assault weapons ban last year, and the reason why he voted against the ghost gun ban, I say that with finger quotation marks if you're listening on the audio only podcast, is because of the amount of people that was calling his office and emailing him and reaching out to him saying this is a bad bill. So that's why he killed it. He was the reason why it failed, and it's because of the pressure that people put on him.
Right.
So the pressure does work.
Absolutely.
And I think there is a big effort by the anti-gunners to try to convince you that it doesn't. And too frequently, people on our side of the debate have fallen for that technique. And it's kind of sad.
Same goes with when they say that 90% of America supports background checks, universal background checks.
Yeah. 70% of all statistics are fake, right?
Yeah.
It's a joke. Elon Musk said that to Jack Ma, the head of Alibaba, and he was like, "Oh, they are." And he's like, "It's Elon Musk. It's a joke." But yeah, statistics can be turned in any which way. 90% of the people support background checks. Sure, let me poll people, right? Let me poll people in certain. I'll poll 300,000 people and get almost 90% of people don't support background checks. And the way I'm going to do that is the place where I'm going to poll is going to be very pro-gun areas. So when you see people talk about 90% of people, look at where they polled at. Look at who polled. First thing, you got to look at who sponsored the poll. That's the big thing. Look at who sponsored the poll. Then you look at where they polled. And then you can figure out a couple different things. Where they polled, because they're polling in a specific reason for they're polling in a specific area for a specific reason, and how they phrase the question.
Yep.
They'll phrase the question: would you support background checks if it means that your kids will not be killed next week? But if you would you be against background checks if your kids were going to be killed next week? And you're like, what? No. So they add like little writers on that, but when they actually report, they don't actually report what the actual questions is. You actually have to dig deeper into the actual methodology and the exact questions that were asked to actually find out how they got the statistics. And by the time that a lot of times we hear those statistics, it's been recycled so much, it's almost impossible to find out where they came from.
All right, and they get exaggerated by the politician that's using them too.
Yeah. I did a story on a statistic, and it was by Brady. So I called up Brady. I was like, where'd you get the statistic from? Like, oh, we got that from Giffords. I called Giffords. I was like, where'd you get this statistic from? They said, Moms Demand Action. Got in touch with someone on Moms Demand Action, said, where did you get this statistic from? They said, Everytown. I went to Everytown, and I said, where did you get the statistic from? And then they said, Brady. So we're around in a huge circle. So who knows if that I can't remember what the exact statistic was, but I kind of doubt it ever existed. I think it was just pulled from somebody's rear end, I should say.
Right.
That's how it is. So, are you going to be speaking on the Zoom meeting, Maynard and Matt?
Yes, I've already signed up. As soon as I first heard about the public meeting, I signed up immediately so I could at least make certain that I'm heard. And I know other groups have contacted uh, citizens, and they're speaking. Matt, I'm sure you will be. Um, so-
Yes, I'm actually pulling a tactic that I noticed at our last meeting we went to, where they had a few of the anti-gunners sign up at the very last minute, so they had the last word in. So I'm actually waiting until about an hour before the cutoff time before I do it. But yes, I do plan on speaking.
Very good.
Yeah, 'cause it seems like the last things spoken are the first things on their mind.
Yeah. Okay. Here's another question. I've watched some of the Roanoke City meetings, so I already know the answer to that, but not a lot of people out there do. What is the makeup of for and against when people are speaking on these issues, gun issues?
What was that again, John?
What is the makeup of the people for the gun bans and gun restrictions and versus the people that are against it? What is the percentage?
I believe there were 5 anti-gunners, and there was somewhere around 2.5 hours of pro-gunners.
Mm-hmm. The last one that I seen where people were actually able to attend, when you looked out in the crowd of people that were there, they were all wearing "Guns Save Lives" stickers on their shirts. So,
yeah, I think Scott or Silverback watched your speech today.
I watched it earlier. Yes, sir.
I cut your speech out and I threw it up on one of my channels just because that's how moved I was by it. And if you go to actually I think it's on the John Crump Live channel. I believe it's still there and not on the John Crump News channel. But if you go to John Crump Live, you can find Maynard Keller, and I'm sure it's everywhere on YouTube. So just watch it wherever you want to watch it at. But it is an amazing speech.
I actually seen that video by going to Maynard Keller's website today.
Oh, you have it on your website. All right, there you go.
I put a link on my campaign website to your video, John.
Okay, well there you go.
You're making millions of royalties off that YouTube. You know, you're right.
No, I don't think that video is actually monetized. I don't. Usually when I throw up like something from like a meeting or something like that, I don't monetize it ever.
No, I'm back to your question, John. You asked about the makeup of the groups. You know, the vast majority of people who come there are freedom-loving Americans who know the Constitution, who love the Constitution. And you have a handful of anti-gunners who wouldn't know a revolver from a semi-automatic, who wouldn't know an AR from an RA, who have no idea what anything is, but they're against your right and my right to defend ourselves and to defend our country. And so there's a lot of misinformation out there, and I see this all the time in the media, and so the vast majority, if you were to do a real poll, the vast majority of people in Roanoke want to defend themselves, defend their family, and it's just a vocal few who want to take that right away from the rest of us.
Part of my job is to watch all these different city council meetings and county board meetings. And one of the things I noticed in Virginia, I'm not sure about around the country, but at least in Virginia, is that a lot of the stuff they say is identical. The anti-gunners I'm talking about, like identical, like word for word identical. So after a while, I started Googling these people and figuring out who they are. And I found out most of them, if I would say about 90%, if not more, are actually paid lobbyists. And that's why all their stuff sounded so similar. It got to the point where I could be like, oh, paid lobbyist. And then you would see the same person at a different board meeting. So this might be something you want to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, it looks like the video cut out. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, I think too. There we go.
Am I back? I don't know.
I think too there are a lot of code words that are used today. The task force to reduce gun violence. A lot of these groups, if you study them, they have a noble sounding title. Okay, let's reduce gun violence. Okay, well, when you start digging deeper, and I've been participating in this particular task force since August of 2019. In fact, I attend more of the meetings than some of the actual members do. And what you find is that it's not really a gun violence issue. It's violence. It's domestic issues. It's gangs. And it has very little, if anything, to do with guns.
Mhm.
There's using as a ruse, kind of as something to demonize. But so many of these issues are very little, if anything, to do with real guns.
Yeah, it's a keyword thing. So they put the gun before the violence to accentuate the fact that they think guns are bad. But the terminology gun violence would imply that a gun can create violence all by on its own, which a gun is an inanimate object. It's a tool. It cannot do that
Right.
without the person behind it. So violence is just violence, no matter what fancy word you want to put in front of it.
Yeah, like I
Yes.
always tell
And
Scott.
noticed that
Yeah,
as well with the meetings. They were focused on the violence part. Like when I was attending the meeting, which I've lost track of, when I was actually attending meetings, they were on point of what to do, or trying to develop the community to have other options rather than violence. And also, if a violent act does happen, to support or to stop reaction violence. So the meetings themselves were, I was actually thinking, very productive. But the part that really irked me was when the young lady from that task force made a recommendation. It had absolutely nothing to do with what was going on in those meetings. It was like, yes, we need we need to recommend this and this and this, and we're like, that is not at all talked about in like the last 3 meetings. It
Right.
just blew my mind.
Because in reality, there's nothing that a task force can do to stop somebody who's hell bent on shooting up a place. There's nothing that you can do. Someone's going to do it. And really, the task force, which is going to be disbanding, has realized, what, there's not much we can really do with this. We can, try to teach nonviolent techniques to children, teach them to play better, teach them to work out their, resolve problems, interpersonal problems. But that's really all you can do on a proactive measure. You really, when someone's shooting up McDonald's or someone is shooting up 7-Eleven, there's nothing you can do to really stop it except to defend yourself and to have a tool to defend you and your family. So that task force is going to be disbanding and kind of morphing into something else. They didn't really give us the details, but there's not. It's interesting.
one of the things that I always find interesting is that the whole term of gun violence. So you guys do. I call it the Lord of the Rings on theory, and that means that the gun is like the one ring. By pinning it on, it turns you evil. I watched a video one time, and somebody put their AR in front of the door, and they kept on coming back, and they're like, "No, still hasn't killed anyone. Nope,
Right.
haven't assaulted anyone."
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of funny.
Yeah, I put out a video some years back where I had laid some guns out on the table and I was talking to him. I was like, all right, now you get up and you load yourself and you get out there and do what you need to do, just going on. And I'm like, oh, okay, so no takers,
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous, and I don't know. I don't know how we let them get this whole narrative of gun violence from violence. Do we talk about hammer violence? Do we talk about fist violence? We talk
Yeah.
about violence. The issue is violence.
Mhm.
The issue is people, not the tools.
Right. And they never ever put, except for when it's domestic violence, that's the only time I ever hear another word in front of violence other than gun violence.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you study, in fact, this past Friday at that task force meeting, they were actually comparing last year to this year, and homicides are higher, aggravated assaults are higher, and here they want to take away our right to defend ourselves. It's ludicrous. It's insanity.
Yeah, gun violence is lower, but other forms of violence are higher. So let's take away the the one thing that's trending in the right direction.
Yeah, let's disarm innocent people.
Yeah.
Yep. I like the fact that they totally glass over the statistic. The crime research, John Law Jr. did a lot on this. The crime research did a lot of articles on this, that guns have more of a chance of being used in self-defense than in a violent crime, and yet they gloss over that.
Mhm.
They play on emotion and not so much on facts and logic.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. That's why they like to use certain keywords, because it heightens the emotion.
Yeah. Well, if you look at how the whole assault weapon name got started, they chose assault weapon because it sounded like assault rifle.
Right. Well,
And
it also took the rifle out of it, so it made it a more broad spectrum of weapon rather than just a
yeah.
rifle.
Well, assault rifle is a proper term for any rifle that's fully automatic. So like, oh well, if you call this AR-15 an assault weapon, they're gonna think of assault rifle, which is a fully automatic weapon.
See, I heard that basically the term assault rifle was kind of a propaganda term made up back in the Nazi regime by Hitler when they came out with the STG-44, or called it the Stormgruer. So it was like supposed to be scary, so it would scare their opponents to make them think they had something that was bigger and badder than anything they had.
Yeah, you're right. That's exactly that was exactly the first assault rifle. But then other countries started adopting the term,
right,
and labeling their military fully automatic guns assault rifles. So it did become a proper terminology for it.
Yeah, because I believe even the military defined the word assault rifle, didn't they?
Yeah. So that's
seen a lot, or a lot of the last 5-10 years, is the redefinition of actual words. Like the Merriam-Webster dictionary is actually changing the set definition that's been there for 50, 100 some years to whatever is the most common usage of the word.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, John, we just got corrected. The first gun that was called an assault rifle was the Fedorov, which was from Russia in 1916. Our audience is very, very. That's from John Voorhees. Our audience is very, very knowledgeable when it comes to firearms. You know, so you can't. If you say something wrong, they're gonna call you out on it.
No, it's good. I mean, we all need the education, and it's a good thing to gain knowledge. I mean, knowledge is power, right?
Yeah, but the assault weapon came from Brady, the Brady campaign. That's where that term came from. But yeah, so you're going to be speaking. Matt's going to be speaking at this. So we're going to do everything we're going to do everything in our power to prevent Roanoke City from becoming a gun-free zone, basically.
Right.
Roanoke City property and buildings becoming gun-free zones. What can GOA do to help you? What can other groups do to help you?
Well, I think from we're talking. The public hearing is on Monday, and so and you have until Monday noon to register to speak. You can also submit emails to the city council. They all have email. You could submit something for the record that can go to the clerk of the city council. That if you had a statement or something, you could include that in the official record for city council. And hopefully there'll be some people on city council who have wisdom and say, let's back this off. Let's make exemptions for CHP holders. Let's only have the city council chamber a gun-free zone. And hopefully it's some logic and some common sense will prevail in this whole thing.
That is something that we can all do. I'm going to put up some information on our Facebook page. Are you a member of our Facebook page, Maynard?
I think I am, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm a member of some groups.
Yeah, you should, Matt, go ahead and make sure he's in there. And you two should post on that, and I will make sure that it's an announcement and pin it to the very top of the page.
Thank you.
So everyone will see. I know VCDL is big on what's going on in Roanoke City. I've seen them talk about it a lot.
And they have quite a few members from Roanoke, so
they have quite a few members from everywhere in Virginia.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, and also Safe Side Tactical has been a great ally in this fight.
Yeah. I've noticed Mitch from Safe Side Tactical, he's been posting a lot. He's staying really right on top of it. I'm starting to think he's one of the VCDL watchdogs. As soon as he sees something, he kicks it over to them, and it gets blown up from there.
Yeah, he is actually.
Yeah, we see Virginia is a big state, and VCDL and GOA. We need people all over the state to let us know when something happens, because trying to keep track of the whole state is a daunting task. And little things can slip by. Yeah. So don't assume that we know what's going on just because you know what's going on. I'm in Northern Virginia. I don't hear everything. And we have advocates all over the Commonwealth, but sometimes they might not hear anything. It's better to get too much information or information from too many people than not to get enough information from enough people.
Right. And one person can't do it by themselves. So, it's a group effort for sure.
It is definitely a group effort.
And sometimes just takes getting that ball rolling. When I really started getting involved was with the 2A sanctuary movement. And all I did was put together a list or a small letter and a basic instructions on how to get your council to talk about or the 2A sanctuary. Next thing I know, I've sent out 300 to 400 emails, and I kept getting my own email sent back to me on how to do it. So it just takes a very basic platform, a little bit of effort, and just get that ball rolling. One person talks to two people, those two people talk to four people, and it just exponents from there.
Yeah, Matt was critical in getting 2A sanctuary movements throughout the Commonwealth.
Indeed, he was. Yeah. I remember when they were, they had just passed the preemption, getting rid of the preemption law, and everybody in the VCDL Facebook group was going, "Oh, so what are we going to do now?" And I remember specifically saying, "Okay, why don't we try the 2A sanctuary thing?" And then from there, I didn't see nothing about it for about a month or two, and then all of a sudden, it started popping up everywhere.
Yeah. Before Virginia, there was less than 50 2A sanctuaries in the country. Then it expanded to 160 2A sanctuaries, and 110 of them were in Virginia. And now it's like, I have no idea. I lost track around 300. So once the movement gets started, it keeps on going.
100%. Hey, mind if I ask Maynard a question?
Sure, please.
All right. So you're running for city council, correct? What made you want to run for city council?
He was running for city
I
council.
ran for city council and just about won. In fact, I had a running mate, two of us, two conservative Republicans. We ran, and then election day, we were second and third place for 3 seats. They were open on city council. Woke up the next morning, we lost when the absentee ballots came in. Sound familiar?
That sounds very familiar. It's funny how that always happens in one direction.
So as I got back to your question, what made me want to run for city council is I saw that there was really a lack of diversity in thought on city council. There's a bunch of leftists there that wanted to cram down this big government, everything that was wrong, cram it down our throats. And I wanted to offer a different perspective. Life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, individual freedom, the freedom to protect yourself and your family, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, these type of things. And I just wasn't seeing that on city council. And so I decided to do something about it. I ran for public office, first time ever. And I'll tell you what, I would not trade the experience for anything. Incredibly valuable to me. I'm helping Charlie Nave, who's running for House District 11. He's running against Sam Rasool, far left. And we're trying to take back the House delegate, the Senate, and the state offices.
Awesome. Do you think you'll run again?
I'm keeping my options open, and I am very optimistic.
I can tell Matt really wants you to try again.
I have so many people who want me to run, and I'm seriously considering it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I try and face look at the whole reality of the situation. Maynard, I really thought you were going to be the one great candidate that we're going to get in. And just like you said, I saw the what was that or that one box over there of or one district there, and everybody else, you were leading, or you were one of the ones leading for the Republican side, and I was just so hopeful. And when I woke up, I literally the first thing I did is open it up. I'm like, all right, so what the hell happened? I threw my phone and broke it. It was just frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, it can be frustrating sometimes. I was talking to Marjorie Taylor Greene, because I gotta talk to her. I guess Thursday I talked to her, and then I actually was talking to her about, I was like, I would never want to run for Congress. Why did you run for Congress? And she broke it down. She was like, I didn't like what I was seeing. I didn't like what other Republicans were doing. And the issue that made her run was red flag laws. She fought against red flag laws because there were some bipartisan red flag laws. And she's like, I can't have this. I have to get up and do something. I don't want to run, but I have to do something. If I sit back and just complain on social media, then, we lose.
Right.
I have to get involved. And she started going around doing citizen lobbying, and that kind of morphed into her saying, I'm going to take a shot at the House of Representatives at Congress.
Wow.
And she won. So it can be done. Don't back down.
And we have some great candidates running for Richmond for this November, for governor, lieutenant governor, and attorney general. They were all here on Monday night this past week.
Yeah, they had a gubernatorial debate.
Yeah, we have some excellent candidates, not only for those offices, but for other offices. I encourage you, support them, help them, volunteer, donate money, contribute. Because if we don't do these things, it won't get worse.
Do you want Justin Fairfax as your governor, or do you want Mark Herring as your governor? Do you think that they're going to protect your Second Amendment right? They're not.
No, Herring's already said he wants to see him gone.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Not all Democrats are anti-gun. In fact, in Pittsburgh, one of the Democrats that's running is the pro-gun candidate, and compared to the Republicans up in Pittsburgh.
Mm.
So he's actually more pro-gun, and he's actually who GOA is endorsing because he's pro-gun, like a GOA type pro-gun, like a no compromise. You know, everyone should have machine guns. Like, how pro-gun am I? I got grenades in my hands. Pro-gun. So that's the way it is in some certain states. So if you're watching this or listening to this and you're in a different state, you're like, well, I know a Democrat that's not anti-gun, or well, for the most part in Virginia, if you have a D by your name, you're anti-gun, and especially if you're running for governor, you have a D by your name, you're definitely anti-gun.
Well,
that's just the way it is in the Commonwealth.
I would like to touch on what Maynard say. Donation. Look, point blank, the Democrats are out donating the most Republicans, probably somewhere around 3-1, and that actually it makes a huge difference if you can pull the money, get your name out there, and you can get it out there repetitive, and that's what really gets drilled into people's heads. Find a Republican candidate, back him. Find an independent candidate, back him. Find someone that is pro 2A, back them financially, and get their name out there.
Right, because people who listen to the local radio, if they can hear a commercial for this person and they know this person's out there and available and is running for office, chances are they'll look into him and they'll go vote for him. I mean, I hear radio ads for people running for office all the time here in the state. You even see TV ads for them. So, and those don't run for free. So the donations that these people get go towards things like that to get their name out there and to get them heard and seen.
If I remember, our Republican chairman, they looked into some ads, and he said somewhere between $15,000 and $20,000 in just radio ads, if I remember correctly. That's some expensive ads.
All right. With that said, we've been on for an hour, so it is time to say goodbye. I'm going to go around the horn. I'm going to start with Mr. Silverback. Scott, tell everyone where they can find you at.
You can find me here on YouTube. You can find me at the GOA Virginia Reloaded podcast. Also, you can find me at blackswantactical.com, Patreon, and Gunstreamer.
All right, Matt, where can people find you at?
You can't. If I pop up, that means there's something going on with the 2A community, and I need to get involved. Although I would throw out let me see if I can get the shirt for
the truth is the new hate speech.
Yes. If you want a shirt like this, John, can you plug in Devin's info?
Yes, if I had Devin's info, but I don't have it.
Sorry.
No, I mean, okay. And Maynard?
The easiest way to find me is to go to my website, my campaign website, which I still have up, and I'm still using for current issues in Roanoke City, and that is MaynardKeller.com.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for watching the Virginia Reloaded podcast, a Gun Owners of America. I guess it's Virginia Reloaded, a Gun Owners of America podcast. I am your host, John Crump. Gun Owners of America. Go to gunowners.org. You can go ahead and sign up, and just get on our mailing list if you don't want to sign up. I want you all to support your local candidates, and remember, Sic Semper Tyrannis. All right. There.
All right. So what happened? I think we lost John.